Okay, seems like we are live right now. If you can hear me and see me well, can you all just maybe give me a shout out so that I can make sure that you guys are here with me, and that just want to make sure. All right, let's see. Okay, seems like we are live right now. Okay, cool. Now everything is properly, well, new system, so better to test out everything. And also I'll be able to see your any chat that you all actually commented. I will also be able to see it very clearly in this screen. All right, cool. All right, so I think everybody, welcome. We're doing this live right now, and I think I just want to really address, because I've been getting a lot of information, a lot of news, a lot of inquiries from all the buyers. Okay, and I think most importantly, a lot of clients, they have actually reached out and wanting to actually find out a little bit more about what is actually happening with this seller stamp duty. So I want to kind of address this once and for all, to make sure that every one of you are clear in what this is happening, and most importantly, how you as a busy professional and homeowner are able to, take on this information that has been just released and kind of navigate your way through the property market. So seller stamp duty is back. Okay, but of course this is not like the 2013 cooling measure kind of panic situation. This is, I think, more of a very surgical move. And if you are planning smart, then you might really want to follow on to this video, because we're going to do a lot more. So many of you who are waiting to enter the market this year, or maybe you have been waiting for some of the blockbusters coming up in terms of the launches, which is in the second half of this year, then overnight you wake up, then this bad news came, right? So I totally understand where you're coming from. Most of us may be not so familiar with how this kind of cooling measures work, and some of us, of course, we have already went through it. This is not the first time. And so later on, instead of us guessing, oh, like the world is going to crash down, how about we actually study this together with some research and some data numbers? Then from there, we can actually determine better how we can better position ourselves in the property marketplace. So be it whether it's cooling measures, whether it's the economy, whether it's the war, I believe there are still plans that we should actually take note of before we move forward. So later on, we're going to dive in some research numbers and to see how this is going to be. So in this video, right, what we're going to do is we're going to cover a few things. First of all, is this seller stamp duty new, right? And who will greatly be affected? And we're going to see who are the ones that majority of you may be risk-free from this, but some of you may be still needing this to help you in your property journey. So we're going to see. And also, most importantly, how you can navigate all these noises out there, right? Using our AI systems, our AI engine, to look into the macro as well as the micro trends to do a comparative analysis. So let me guide you to see how you can also benefit from this seller stamp duty to your advantage later in the video. Okay, so we're going to dive in very much into the research. We're also going to dive into the supply, and perhaps there's a silver lining of goodness that this SSD is maybe potentially going to help you. So all the key thing that I always believe that there's always things happening. So maybe some of you in the market have been looking out for a while, but you just do not know whether you should enter or not enter. And now with this news, maybe you're even more confused, and you say, then like that I don't enter already. So I think you really want to watch on to the entire video so that you can see how this can help you. All right. So one of the key things that I want to also stress, that if let's say today you are kind of wanting to go for the new launch ballots, right, then I think you may want to do some preparations. Like for example, when we are helping our clients to do things, we actually do quite a fair bit of prep before the information out there, especially circulating the prices. So we actually do quite a fair bit in terms of preparation for the balloting. Then of course, the actual day balloting flow is also very crucial for us to discuss together, and all the way until the selection of the units, which is the most priority, because the prices will only be released during the time where you don't have you don't have much time to actually sort out your thoughts, like, oh, which is the unit, which is the higher floor, So we will want to actually do this very comfortably on that day. So these are some of the selection. And if today you are already looking out for some launches, just take note, Linden Woods is going to be really soon. And with this kind of pricing, I believe we have already done our research. If not, you can actually follow me on my another video that I've done a deep dive into the numbers. This is very attractive, but at the same time, you also want to be extra careful with this kind of SSD coming in, as well as the high price environment right now for across the board, HDB, private, new launches, everything is high price. So you want to take extra careful. But if you find that, hey, I want to seek a second opinion, then you can actually scan the QR code and reach out to us and let us see and recalibrate if what you are planning for, is it the best approach or not. And of course, we have so many launches coming out, right? So you also need to be extra careful of what you need to do and what not to do. Okay, very important. All right, so of course, from the 4th of July, Singapore wake up to news and they just release it again on the midnight, starting off, so they have no reaction time. So this is what we do best. We learn from our mistakes. Okay, so the seller stamp duty has raised up back to 4 years timeline. So, but before you jump into any conclusions, right, let's walk through what's really happening and what's not. Okay, because I believe now a lot of people may have confused about what's happening. So in this video, I'm really going to dive in deep into the details. And if you have not been following my channel or you have not liked this video, please go ahead and do it now. Smash that like button, subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Because every single week, whenever I do new videos, whether it's about new launch analysis, my market technical analysis, as well as some of our frameworks and how we can actually guide you through our REI process, then you'll be notified. All right, so just help me out and it will really help me a lot, because then we will know that, hey, actually people are viewing, people are learning, and that's where we will get more hyped up to actually do more videos for you at the same time. All right, so do like, subscribe, and then share this video if you know somebody who can actually benefit from this. All right, so coming back, so let us see what is happening in the stamp duty. So again, before you think that, wow, this is something drastic and big, actually this has already been done before. All right, so back in the days when we already had our 16%, 12%, and 8%, 4% previously. All right, so this was during the period of 2011. So the government actually implemented this, and for a good 6-7 years, right, the rates for a 4 years holding period has been the norm, and after that they actually reduced it to 3 years after 2017, and they revised it to 12, 8, and 4. All right, so why the revise of now, if you look at it, is basically the same lah. So now we ran back to the same situation of 16, 12, 8, and 4 for 4 years. So a lot of times we will say that, oh, this one is a big cooling measure. But in my opinion, I believe this is more of a reinstatement. Okay, it actually existed since 2011 to 2017. So we've been there before, and prices still actually went up even after that. But we're going to dive in deeper to look into it. So this seller stamp duty, if you ask me, is more of a speed bump lah, or it's not a roadblock. So even if you are looking at seriously considering to enter the market, or maybe even to sell a property, don't stop your plans. I believe you should take a step back. Okay, take a step back and then reassess whether will this plan actually affect you. If not, reach out to us. We will be able to guide you through, like, okay, what do we see in the past and how the past situation or even your current situation can be affected. All right, so we are here to kind of give you the answers, the solutions, the directions, most important. It's not to kind of say, oh, if these things happen, we don't do it. All right, so the SSD was actually released in 12 midnight again. All right, so a lot of people have been asking us, like, hey, so how do they count this seller stamp duty? So always remember, seller stamp duty is always done from the exercise date. All right, so the moment when you exercise the dates, then that is considered your start of your seller stamp duty, not the option. So there's always some confusion. They will say that, oh, the moment I grant the option, then that is the date you count. Okay, that's the mistake. And there are news in recent years where the numbers are being calculated, the dates are being calculated wrongly, and we also have fellow colleagues in the industry, because the owners see the dates wrongly, they did not verify with their lawyers, end up they actually sell their unit much earlier, and there's no question asked. Immediately you'll be slapped with the last percentage of the 1 year, even if it's 1 day difference. So I need you all to be extra careful. So always check with your law firm if you're unsure when do you exercise, because your exercise date will be starting from, your seller stamp duty will start from exercise date onwards. Then they count at 3 years in the past. So right now, we just need to count 4 years. Okay, so that's the whole difference. And we already have verified this with the IRA side as well. Okay, so there are some of you, maybe you have already, if let's say you granted your option way before 4th July and you have already exercised, okay, on or before, then before 4th of July, then you don't need to worry lah. Also, that's you are still kept the 3 years seller stamp duty. But if you are exercising after 4th, that means 4th midnight, 12:01, you exercise, all right, you are under the 4 years seller stamp duty, which is this rate. Okay, so you apply. All right, so of course, some of you, maybe you have went through the process and you kind of did a longer exercise period, or you may have collected more option fee and then you give a longer exercise period. So for such cases, I'm not here to advise, I'm not IRAS, but it will be best that you can actually write in via your convincing law firm, to do some clarification, or you may want to just appeal to IRAS. So these are some of the things that I want to make sure that you guys are on the right track before we do anything else. All right, cool. All right, so of course from here, if you take a look, right, one of the key things that I also want to stress to share with you all is the seller stamp duty. Why is it here since 2013? It has such a big impact because seller stamp duty is really not to allow us to do flipping. Okay, if many of you who are unsure of what flipping is, it used to be before 2013, you can sell your property even 1 minute later to another person for an X amount of profits. All right, so that is in the past, and people have been using that as a form of growth mechanism, or they sell it 1 month later, 1 week later, 3 weeks later, anytime. So there's no duty on when you're able to sell your property. So that's the reason why there's a lot of speculation in the marketplace during then. We call it flipping, or flipping every other time. So when seller stamp duty was introduced in 2011 for 4 years, then it kind of curbed it a little bit. Later on, we will study more into the data and numbers, or the trends, so that you all can see it specifically. Like, is this going to impact the price? Is this going to impact the volume? And most importantly is, how will this impact me? Very important. All right, so the key thing about flipping is now, because of this, everybody think that, 3 years is considered flipping. So the history is actually, it's not 3 years. 3 years to hold on to a property is actually a very reasonable period of time. If not, the government would not have exercised that during 2017, right? They revert from 4 years to 3 years. But of course, if you ask me for a key thing today, when we are looking at property is generally still a mid-term to long-term approach. Okay, you cannot just look at it as a short-term. And this is, I think, very worrying, because sometimes we do get clients who come in and, because of all the wow factor that everybody is selling, that, today you buy a property, you can sell in 3 years and you make a profit, right? So I think this is very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Because we do have some clients, whenever they are working out their numbers, it's like they die only can afford that 3 years of payment. And then they also tell us that, hey, Coach Edmund, die, or this 3 years, or I must sell one. If not, I have no more money. I think this is a very dangerous way of looking at property. You are definitely speculating. And although we can say that there's not much speculative going on, but people still want to take the chance on push their luck a little bit. So I really don't encourage this kind of behavior since day one. Do you want to be a flipper, or do you want to be a strategic investor? It's really, we want to see who's more resilient, right? Who can last longer. So it all goes back to the foundation of how you look at property. Property, typically, you have to plan it in such a way that in the worst case scenario, okay, touch wood, worst case scenario, your property, you can still sell, you can still sustain it, okay, you can still finance it. It shouldn't be that, when the market comes down, then you have to sell your property. I think that is something very dangerous to do. Okay, so I will not. Okay, even if you want to do, I will not encourage you to do it. I will stop you from doing it. Better don't come to me. You can go to others. Because I don't want to. First thing is, I'm very selfish. Because when you got problem, I also got problem. Right? You cannot sleep at night. You call me. I also can. So selfish reason. Also, please be mindful. Please be thinking that although property, yes, is a growth mechanism for many of us in Singapore, or should I say in Asia, there's still certain fundamentals and risks that we still need to undertake, or it's not a totally zero risk environment. We need to really play the sums right. We really need to study the relevant and current strategies that works. So I believe this seller stamp duty will not crash the market at all. Based on the last adjustments that we had. So later on we will study on why do I say so on this aspect, and it's all backed up with data, research, and numbers. Or it's not I say one, it's not theory. So the key thing is that today we also must understand that if the speculative buyers are still in the marketplace, that means they buy already, the 3 years will sell, then those who are really looking property as a more stabilized asset to increase your value, to increase your net worth, then you ask me, this is a good chance for all of us, because all the speculators will be out again, or not the yearly one now. Now we're talking about those who are playing this on a different field of 3 years. So actually 3 years cannot be counted as a speculative really cannot. Okay, so I have so previously all the while when in my consult, right, I also have done certain guidelines for our clients, and I want to share with you, this is how we look at properties. There's always a different balance of how you want to enter into property. All right, so if today you are intending to hold on to your property within 3 to 5 years, then you must also accept the fact that today your pricing in terms of a capital upside will be much higher. Okay, and your support for this 3 to 5 years, relatively, if let's say this property is very new and you're holding it for 3 to 5 years, then your support price will generally grow at a higher level. But of course, during this period, while you're waiting for the new property to be ready, you don't get your rental yield, and also there's no renovation cost involved. So, but of course, not everybody can go into this new launch market and just buy and then wait for 3 to 5 years without having a property to stay. So some of us, we will opt in, which is, if you ask me, also another level of safety, which is the 8 to 12 years mark. So the moment when you go into a property that is, that means when you enter, it's really a second-hand property, right? You need to acknowledge and accept that your pricing for your support is going to be average. The capital upside is going to be low. Why? Because first of all, you may be entering into this as a second owner or third owner, depending on which year, and a chunk of the profits could have already been used up in the beginning. So of course, when you are buying a property like this, generally it's more of a resale, and your rental yield you will definitely still get, and whether you want to choose to renovate or not, it's really a different story. And if let's say today you're entering into stage 3, which I will advise you for those properties that is more than 15 years, be prepared to actually hold this property longer, okay, beyond the 10 years mark. Because if you are using an older property and then you hope that in the next 3 to 5 years you'll be able to exit, I believe your growth will be limited. Right? That's why your support price is going to be weak. Your capital upside, because you are holding on to this property long enough, so there is enough there is enough runway for you to kind of ride on the different cycles of the market. Right? So this is also fairly important. And of course, your rental you definitely will be getting, but being an old property, you will have very high renovation costs also. So at every stage, right, 1, 2, 3, right, the key thing is that it's not about the type of property you're going to buy. So some people will say that, oh, just buy a young property or go buy an old property and then hold it for unblock and that kind of thing. So our theory when we are looking at properties in using an REI method, it's more on at which stage of your life do you need what type of property. Okay, so if you're needing a property for your own family for school, and then you went on to stage 1 kind of property, then perhaps there may be some misalignment. And this is what we see a lot in our clients' property situation, because a lot of them, what we realize is that they missed out, or should I say they based on their criteria and selection based on the property itself, not based on their lifestyle, based on their needs, based on their age and everything. So we look things from a different perspective so that we can be more balanced in terms of foundation. Or I think this is fairly important. And one of the key things that you must also understand is that today, with one of the why we want to see, I want to also share with you like what triggers this kind of situation. Okay, what triggers the SSD to be adjusted from now 3 years to 4 years. So I want to show you kind of a research that we have done, right? And the main thing that triggers this is mainly because of subsale. So what is subsale? Okay, I will share with you my insights with my research later. So what is subsale? Subsale means, let's say if you buy a new property and the moment it crosses the TOP, okay, they have not reaches the 4th year, which is usually the part where the CSC is done. So usually after TOP, a lot of people will start to rent it out, stay, or even sell it because they have passed their seller's stamp duty of 3 years. So with this change to 4 years, which means that even if the property is ready in 3 years, you can't sell it, which means you will rent it out. And we will cover a little bit more on where, if today you're entering into the property market right now, looking at this 4 years, what kind of property you should potentially look at if you are purely still looking at it from a growth perspective. Okay, we're going to study that. So the key thing is because of the spike of subsale, meaning before the property is so-called ripe, like durian, not ripe already. I can sell it to the next buyer to wait for it to ripe again. Okay, in a very simple understanding. So I want to show you one of this data, right? Using our AI system and tool, right? We are able to kind of guide ourselves in. Give me a second, let me see. Okay. Okay, I may have some issues with my. Never mind. Let me see what I can do here. I may need to continue the video on another platform. Give me a second. That's why everything is live here. And when you're running different screens. All right. Give me a second. Let me see how I can do this. All right. So give me a second while I come back live again. Pardon for those who have joined me. We may need to come back again due to technical error. So I see you on the next live with the same. You can just tune in and I can share with you more on what other research that I've done. All right. I see you shortly.